Something my forever world feels like it's been missing for a while is a pop of color. Sure, I have some builds with different color schemes scattered throughout my world, like my Cherry Grove district or Little Flower Field, but everything still feels fairly neutral and grounded, and I think it's about time I actually integrate some colors into my builds that will really pop and attract attention. The only problem with this is I really don't have a large selection of resources that fits this more colorful goal. So that's why today I'll be building my first ever automatic sheep farm, containing all the different colors of sheep, which in turn will allow me to collect large quantities of all the different colors of wool. This is a project I've been meaning to do for quite a while, so I'm really glad I'm finally getting around to it. There's a lot that's gonna have to go into it, as I have to do the actual redstone components, and then I also have to find a proper place to build it, collect a bunch of different sheep, and then build an actual exterior around it so it doesn't just look like a bunch of little sheep prisons. So with no time to waste, let's get started. Now, in order for us to actually start this project, we need to find somewhere to put it, and I think I know exactly where that is. Usually I put most of my redstone builds in my actual redstone area, but this time I want to build it in my more random sector of my world. Luckily, I already have a perfect spot here to put it, as I spend a lot of my downtime just flattening out areas in my world for future projects, and right here I think is a perfect spot for a wool farm. So with the actual location picked out, the first thing I'm gonna do is the actual redstone components of the build, and I'm gonna be following a tutorial by the YouTuber named Trillomes, at least I think that's how you pronounce it. He made a tutorial for a wool farm that came out about 2 years ago. It looks really straightforward, so hopefully this isn't too hard to follow as somebody who really has no experience with redstone. But that means we just have to collect the materials now, and from the looks of this tutorial, there's actually not too many. The only problem is that since I'm going to be making, I think, around 16 of them for all the different wool colors, I have to multiply all of these materials by 16. I also think I'm going to start by just making one of them and seeing how it goes, and then I'm going to make the rest next to it. First, I want to start small and just make the first section. So I then quickly got to building and following the tutorial, and despite it being pretty straightforward, I actually messed up quite a few times by placing things like observer blocks in the wrong direction. It came together pretty fast. As you can see here, it is a really tiny setup, and it is currently just missing the glass because I actually have to go get some sheep to put in it first. So let's go try and get a sheep for this first machine. So this is my original pen that I made like really early on in the world. I do have another way better looking barn over there, but this one is just way closer. I don't know why I don't have actual gates here, but you know what? It works. I have them for the horses, but I don't have them here. It's kind of weird. All right, luckily this sheep escaped, so we're gonna take you all the way over here, just lure him into this little hole, and we'll see if it works. And I'm hoping that it does, because I'm not very good at luring mobs. No, dude, no, what? Okay, maybe then the leads being looser isn't a good thing. Okay, wait. Boom. No, go back. No, stay. Okay, boom. All right, there we go. So at first, the machine wasn't actually going off, but I just broke and placed down the redstone one time, and then it started working, so I guess it works. Cool. Although the wool should be going into this chest, so I don't know why it's not in there. Oh, I did not attach the hopper to the chest properly. That is annoying. I have to fix that real quick. Also, in the meantime, I'm gonna kill these mobs because they are really, really annoying. I don't know where they are, though. Oh, they're all right there. Oh, there's Loki a lot. Alright, back up at the surface, and the machine did go off again, and luckily this time the wool actually went into the chest, so that means it's working. Alright, so I guess now what I gotta do is figure out the rest of the colors and then go get the materials to make as many more of these as I need. Also, a quick tidbit, if you're wondering what those are, what all the copper golems are doing, I'm simply just letting them roam around and do all this stuff so I can collect a bunch of them as statues, but I thought the statues would be nice, and yeah, I'm just waiting for them to oxidize. I then made a quick stop at my mine to collect some stone and cobblestone for things like the hoppers and the observers. I then made my way out of the cave and headed over towards my storage room to actually build all of the blocks I was gonna need for the rest of the sheep farm, and then I placed them all in my shulker box and I got to building. The process of building these wasn't too complicated. I basically just repeated what I already did 15 more times until I had enough cells to hold all the sheep. So I'll let you guys watch this little time lapse. Okay, so it's been a little while now, and I do have all of the systems set up. I just got to get the sheep inside so I can place the last pieces of glass. The other thing, too, that I realized while making this is for some reason I thought there were 15 total colors when there's actually 16. It was even before by having 7 here, and then 4 and 4, but now it's uneven because there isn't one here, and there is an extra one all the way on the end there. to make up the total of 16 colors. But I need all the different sheep colors, so I'll just put something there, like a bunch of chests or something. I don't know, I'll figure something out later once the exterior is built. But yeah, it's time to go get some sheep. Oh, no, maybe, oh, not that many at a time. I can't do that many. Nope, back. With the final sheep in his pen, it was now time to dye all the sheep the correct colors, and in total there are 16. And with all the sheep dyed, we now had access to a bunch of different colors of wool for building. The actual automatic farm part is complete, and now I'm going to be able to integrate way more colors into my builds. But obviously I don't want to just leave it looking like this, because currently right now it looks pretty out of place and pretty bland. So it's time to make a plan for the actual exterior of the build and how I'm going to make it look nice. When I build exteriors, I usually start by building a simple outline of the wall. So I'm going to be using stripped oak and stripped spruce to build up the wall, and then I'm going to be using spruce stairs to actually make the outline of the roof, which I'll then fill in with a bunch of different colored wool with the pattern of a rainbow, sticking to the theme of color, which is basically what this whole build is about. And then from there, I'm going to go and add in all the tiny details at the end. I'm not exactly sure what the tiny details are going to be. That's always something I kind of figure out and just see what looks nice once all of the big important aspects of the exterior are complete. So let's get to it. Alright, so I just finished putting the color into the roof, and I'll say it's definitely mixed. I have mixed opinions on it. On one end, I actually really like the actual colors. I like the way the stripes of color go throughout the roof. It's definitely eye-grabbing. It definitely gains your attention because visually there's just a lot going on, and I think the colors itself looks pretty good. My main problem is the fact that since there's no wool slabs or stairs, there's little parts that feel much flatter than others. So if I get my spyglass, you can see right here, like these first 4 blocks, they're all just 1 block deep. So there's 1 step, 2 step, 3 step, 4 step. But once you get to the 5th step, you have it so that there's 2 blocks next to each other. And this kind of just worked out because of the way the roof is shaped, which to be honest is my original flaw, but I definitely don't like how the top looks. So I'm gonna try and do something to fix that. So in order to fix just the overall flat roof, I basically took a bunch of spruce slabs and tried to break it up a little bit at the top. The most flat any part of the roof would be 2 blocks deep, and I think it actually worked very well. It makes it look much smoother. It's not perfect, but it's definitely a big improvement. Also, quick side note that isn't related to this build, but since I'm building over here, these copper golems are finally starting to oxidize. I've literally had these guys over here for so long, but they've been out of render distance or simulation distance, but they hadn't been oxidizing for the longest time, and it's nice to see them finally starting to turn green. It then turned to night where I realized I would actually have to light up the roof of this build if I wanted to prevent mobs from spawning on it. Right now I'm just trying to fill in these little gaps in between each pillar, and I think I'm doing a pretty decent job at it. I'm placing these shelf blocks as little garden beds, and then I have fences going up with the little upside down stairs. I'm lining the top pillar with spruce trap doors, and then I have this little grass bed here, which I might put flowers on or banners on or something. Alright, so I made some banners, and what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do some alternating like colors. So I'm gonna do the darker colors on one side and then the lighter colors on the other side. I'm also just now realizing that I have these snow texture packs on, and this is my first time making a Let's Play video, and it's taking me a really long time to make. So I realized I really got to get on finishing this. Otherwise, by the time I post it, it's going to be spring, and it's going to feel really weird that I have a snowy texture pack on. Also, just to quickly show you guys, this is what I have going on for the side. Really not much, but I think it does the job. And if I ever want to come back and add more to it, I definitely can. But with that, guys, that actually does mean that we're basically done with the exterior, besides connecting the pathway to it. So now what that means is we can actually get started on the interior. My plan for the interior is pretty simple. I'm gonna give it a wooden floor with some form of rainbow carpet. Then I also want to light it up without actually having any torches get in the way of the builds themselves. And then I want to replace all the glass on the sheep's little pens with tinted glass that's dye reflects the color sheep. So before I did anything, I realized I actually didn't have enough wood or glass to do any of this. So firstly, I went to a spruce forest nearby and cut down some trees. And then before I went to go get glass in the desert, I realized my shovel was about to break. So I made a quick trip to my Enderman farm, which requires me to go through the nether to the stronghold and finally get to my Enderman farm where I repaired all my tools. Now that we're here at the desert, you can see it's really not much of a desert. It's actually like incredibly small, but it is a good place for me to get sand. And since it is so small, I don't really feel too guilty about tearing it up because I don't plan on building anything here. And if I do plan on building like a small, maybe Middle Eastern style village here, I can always go get sand somewhere else and come flatten it out again. On the way back, I am also going to stop for some food and kill some mobs because I am running pretty low on food. Alright, well, since it turned dark, most of the mobs despawned pretty fast, so I didn't really end up getting that much food, but we are home, so I am going to smelt all this sand real quick, and then we'll be able to use it for the windows. And guys, after a lot of intensive and long days of building, the sheep farm is finally done. The outside, the inside is complete, and I think it came out really, really well. You guys obviously saw the exterior throughout my process of building with all the banners, the different uses of the shelf blocks, the roof, and all that jazz, and the lanterns and the flowers and all those little details. But for the few parts that you guys haven't seen, well, for the side here, I did decide to add some colored banners just going alongside it. It doesn't look perfect, but I also think that it just adds a little bit more color, and it also just matches the overall very colorful aesthetic that goes along with the roof. And then the other thing I did was just this simple path. This does break up the continuity of this brick path. See, I have 1, 2, 3 here, and then literally this goes straight into this part of the pattern, so it's not even, but it's kind of what are you going to do about it? I'd have to take down the entire build and move it over again for it to make sense. So I think this is fine, but I just added a little path with a couple different colors here to really invoke that colorful spirit that this build is trying to capture. Now, as for the part you guys haven't seen is the complete interior. And really, I kept it pretty simple because that's all I wanted to do. So first, I have this little carpet going alongside the floor with a black outline, and if you guys couldn't tell, it is the shape of a rainbow. I really like how this came out, and like I said, with basically all the other details I've added in this build, it really just adds a lot of color and a big pop of color to the build. Then I also have these little stands or podiums, whatever you want to call them here, just with lanterns to light up the build a little bit. I wanted to avoid using torches if I could, so I added these in here. I really like the shelf block, especially the spruce shelf. As you can see, I use it a lot. I also have these little like hanging lanterns and some lanterns up there just to make sure the whole build is fully lit up. This is definitely a little bit dark up here. I could add some more lanterns in the future, but I didn't really want to break up this little pattern we have going with the color, and really, since no mobs can spawn there, it's not a big deal to me. Another thing I'm not sure if I showed you guys, but I did decide to replace all the glass in front of the sheep with colored glass of whatever color dye they have. So this one is black, this one's brown, orange, blue, pink, and it definitely helps me figure out which sheep is which really easily. Like if I need pink, I can just look over there and there's pink or yellow. I do also have these little glowstone patches here at the bottom just because I wanted to avoid using any more lanterns here because I feel like it would kind of get in the way of the sheep, so I just put some glowstone down here. And then this, I just have a little path all the way through the back, so if I want to refill these with shears, which I filled all of them up all the way, I can easily access it to put more shears in. Then over here, I just have a simple shelf with some chests and some looms just to create banners or whatever I do with looms. I actually have never used looms. I really can't remember if I've used a loom like once in this world, but now if I need to, I have this building to come and use them. And guys, that just about does it. The mission is complete, and I now have a wool farm that's going to provide me with the proper materials to make my future builds more vibrant. This is my first time ever doing a more gameplay focused style video, so I would love to hear all your guys' feedback and thoughts down in the comments below. I want to hear your thoughts thoughts on the storytelling, the editing, the pacing, everything involved with this video so I can improve in the future. Also, do you guys want to see more content like this? I had a ton of fun making this video, although it did take me quite a while to actually complete. Anyways, guys, if you did enjoy this video whatsoever, a like is greatly appreciated and goes a long way towards helping the channel out, as well as subscribing to ensure you never miss out on another video just like this one. I also now have a Discord, so if you'd like to get the chance to chat with me a bit more, I'll leave the link in the description and pinned comment below. But that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.